Welcome to the Levrige Show. This is Brett Ingram. I was sitting up last night and I was thinking about what topic I wanted to talk about today on this episode of the show. And what occurred to me is I was actually in the middle of 100 different things. I was working on a project with a partner. I have a few other things that I'm working on. I have some personal stuff going on that I'm trying to take care of. And the thing that occurred to me is both personally and professionally, one of the biggest challenges that we have as entrepreneurs is being able to focus, being able to really just pick something and focus on it. And the reason that we have a hard time focusing is as entrepreneurs, we're sort of yes people. We believe that we can do everything. We're super people. We're supermen and superwomen. And no matter what that challenge is, we're just going to knock it down like a set of bowling pins. And that's an awesome attitude, and it's extremely empowering for the actual work that you're going to do. However, it also can be really dangerous. And the reason that it can be dangerous is because there just isn't enough time to do everything that we need to do on a daily basis. We're pulled in too many directions. And in addition to that, we have so many opportunities. We look at every opportunity as a chance to do something. We're opportunity people. We focus on that kind of thing. We don't look at the negative. We look at the positive. We look at the potential. And again, that's a really empowering thing, but it can also be very dangerous, because if you try to take on too many things, you will find out at some point or another that you are human and that you will get smacked down and that you will fail and that you will have things that get left undone. And so what I really wanted to focus on today is whether or not you say no enough in your business and in your life. Because the word no, to me, when I hear it, it sort of gives me the nails on the chalkboard sense. I don't like to say no. I don't like to hear no. I definitely am much more of a possibilities and an optimist and all that other stuff. But the fact of the matter is, the word no is extremely empowering when you use it the right way. And what happens is when you have the ability to say no to a project or say no to an opportunity or say no to something that is in your personal life that you have higher priorities over, it's very empowering because it's liberating. It frees you up. It eliminates the mental static. It eliminates the pressure to feel like you have all of these other things that you need to do. And so it's a really important habit to develop, being able to say no to things. Make the habit of starting to decide as opposed to tabling things. If you're like me, one of my favorite crutches is if there's something I'm interested in, but I don't have time for it now, what I do is I sort of put it in a maybe pile or a pending file or a possibilities folder or whatever you want to call it. The idea is I push it off till later. I defer making a decision. And the reality of it is that's not a smart thing to do, because what that does is it creates mental clutter. It builds up right in here until you start to feel like you're overwhelmed. Even if you only have a few things that you actually need to do, you feel like you have the perception that you have all of these other things to do and there's no way that you can get them done. And part of that comes from the inability to say no to things and just close them off. Look, the universe is vast. The universe is abundant. A lot of opportunities will come back around. So if it isn't a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, if it isn't something that's going to help you reach your immediate goals, say no to it. Okay, so if in your business life, let's say you have a project. In my case, there are 4 or 5 different projects that I'm looking at. They're all things that I want to do. And I eventually may do them all. But what I realized is I have to say no to at least 3 of them right now, and I can always revisit them later. So I can put it in a file, but I'm not going to say I'm considering it. I'm not going to put off making a decision. I'm going to say no. And I'm going to say no for now, and I'm going to let that get me laser focused on the things that I want to do and that are my highest priority. And for me, I'm prioritizing that stuff by return on investment, by alignment with my passion and my business focus and things that I want to do, as opposed to just things I think can make money. And that's where I'm going to focus my time and energy. And by the time I'm done with that, who knows? There'll probably be 5 more opportunities. And maybe those things that I was once going to consider won't even seem that interesting anymore. Or maybe they will. And maybe I'll go back to it after and say, you know what? I am going to actually take on that project now. But I'm not going to try to do 5 at one time because it's impossible to get that much done. And all it does is overwhelm you. When you're in a state of overwhelm, the problem is you're not going to be very productive. You spend a lot of time sitting around, staring at the computer screen, thinking about the stuff that you need to do, instead of getting things done, taking action, and powering through the stuff that you need to do. You know, today for me, I had a lot of other things going on, including my dog with some sort of a hip or leg problem, and, you know, my sunglasses broke, and I've got all these extra things. I needed groceries at the store. I got all the business stuff to do too. So what I did was prioritize, okay, these are the things that I've got to get done, and everything else, no, not for today. I'm not going to do it. Now, in your personal life, it's the same thing. And I'll use a very simple and lame example, but I'll share it with you anyway. You need to do the same thing in your personal life. You need to find the things that are high priorities for you, and then you need to go and do them. And then you need to be able to turn off the things that are not. And so I'll give you a couple of simple examples, and I'll give you a personal example from my life. So let's say one of the things that you've got on your list, and it was on your New Year's resolutions, but meanwhile, we're in the middle of the year and you haven't started it yet, was to get back in shape. You want to get back in the gym, you want to start exercising, working out. But then you have a buddy that calls and says, you know, hey, you want to go out for a cup of coffee, or you want to go grab a drink or whatever else. And then you've got, you know, your kids' practice that, you know, you've got to drive them to, and you like to stay and watch, all these other things. You need to prioritize that. And you need to say, you know what, today I'm going to drop Johnny off at the practice, and instead of watching, I'm going to go to the gym. Or I'm going to go to the practice dressed up in my workout clothes, and I'm going to run some laps around the field to get some exercise. I'm going to say no to my buddy for today and say, why don't we hook up next Wednesday when I have time to do it? And you start to prioritize things like that and say no to things that you're not able to do. Then you'll find that you have a lot more control. You feel like you have a lot more control. You're also a lot more productive, and you feel great about what you're doing and about who you are. And so I'll give you a really simple example for me, but it is a real draw. So it's funny, but it's a draw. I used to be a big video gamer when I was a kid. I loved to play video games. And so I played lots of different games, and as I got older, I obviously ran out of time. Well, I still have a PlayStation 4. And there's a couple of really cool games that are out there right now that I want to play. I mostly do the sports games now because I don't really have a lot of time. But the new Uncharted 4 just came out. It looks awesome. I would love to play it. So I've contemplated 100 times buying the game. But I know that when I buy it, I'm going to want to play it. And I know I have these other projects and things that I need to get finished with. So there's nothing wrong with downtime, but it just needs to be scheduled in. You don't want to make it be the main priority and have all of your work be the distraction. And so if I get sucked into the game and I started playing it, the problem is I would get to a point where I'm letting my other stuff suffer and I'm not doing what I need to do. So instead, I made a deal with myself that I said no to the game for right now. I'm not even going to consider it. I'm not going to think about it. I'm going to finish the couple of projects I've got on my plate right now. And when those are done, I'll reward myself by getting it. And I will give myself, whatever, an hour a day to play for a couple of weeks or whatever it is until I get through the game. And that's the way that I'm going to approach doing it. But I'm going to actually schedule it in. Because it is important to schedule personal time and fun stuff. But it has to be on your terms. So it's a really important lesson. It's a really important skill to get used to saying the word no. Say it to yourself 100 times. It might sound weird. But then you won't be that guy or that gal that gets sucked into doing stuff that you didn't really want to do because you couldn't say no. Because that is letting other people control your life for you and letting other events control your life instead of being the master of your own destiny, which is the way that you get things done, and it's the way that you achieve all that you set out to achieve. So whether it's your personal life, whether it's your business life, practice saying the words no. And do it. Pick something every single day that you're just going to say no to. I'm not going to do this. You know, yeah, I'd love to go out to lunch and and sit around for an hour today, or I'd love to put on the TV while I'm doing this. But no, I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to get the other things done that I need to get done first. As always, if you have any questions or comments, share them with me at leverigeshow.com. And until next time, make it happen.